It's hard to imagine doing something as delicate as brain surgery without modern medicine. Historians proved with other finds that this procedure dates back to ancient times. There are those among researchers who believe that neurosurgery is the oldest medical specialty. Concepts such as erecting a skull from ancient Egyptian tapestry were read. This gives us clues to complex neurosurgery. According to the newspaper PLOS One, he announced that it was a type of brain surgery that a group of historians found. This operation was performed on a man who lived in Israel about 3,000 years ago. This information is mind-blowing. Moreover, before the invention of morphine or the antibiotic in the 15th century BC, we have evidence that trepanation skull surgery has been a common type of surgery for thousands of years around the world. But most importantly, knowing this ancient surgery can aid us in our quest to uncover the timeline of how medicine has progressed since the dawn of human existence. In ancient times, there was a little more care than people realize. We have full-fledged evidence from early human times that humans cared for one another even in harsh conditions. What is trepanation? Trepanation is the removal of the hard tissue in the skull with the help of a saw in order to perform skull surgeries. It comes from the Greek word trepanao. The skull of the discovered skeleton has a square hole of about 30 millimeters. The square shape is interesting because in some examples is triangular and in others it is circular. Also, looking at the skull specimens, there are siblings. But unfortunately, one died very early in his teens, and the other died between the ages of 20 to 40. Researchers are looking at what they can learn by looking at the scientific literature and comparing the conditions of people who have had this surgery on each instance of trepanation in ancient times. For this purpose, it is quite interesting that a high-status individual in the 15th century needed such a procedure. Because at that time, if you're elite, you probably won't be working hard. You'll have access to nutrient-rich foods, and you'll be best looked after by professionals. You are more likely to recover from illness compared to non-elite people. That being the case, one wonders why one of the rich brothers had such a frightening experience. According to the analysis, several possible answers to this situation were found. For example, the researchers found several findings in the siblings' remains that led them to believe the two might have a form of iron deficiency anemia that could affect their development from childhood. What's more, the researchers found porosity, lesions, and signs of inflammation in the membrane covering the bones in 1/3 of one skeleton and half of the other. This suggests that the brothers' eventual death was likely due to an infectious disease such as tuberculosis or leprosy. Leprosy can spread among the family, not only due to intimacy, but also to your susceptibility to the disease. Also, leprosy is difficult to diagnose because it affects the bones and does not happen to everyone in the same way. It takes an in-depth investigation to find out what happened to these unfortunate siblings. Although the angular notch trepanation process was designed to keep the child alive, it did not work. According to the results of the research, it is understood that the patient died days, hours, maybe minutes after the operation.